Today we're going to make a special version of a Montana nymph. We do it a little bit different, using a little bit different materials. So here we go. Start with the hook, and we take the materials along as we go. I'm using one of our shrimp dry nymph hooks, and I added a 4mm bead head to it, and as a tying thread I'm using a GSP thread. You could be using also a standard thread if you wanted to. It's not that important. I just like to use this one for many flies due to the sheer strength of the thread. It's very thin. And if you need to add some color to it, you can just color the thread with your marker if you want to. Alright, first of all we need to put a small base to the hook shank with the thread. Make sure you make them very tight, the first shank, the first wrappings, because GSP thread tends to be a bit slippery. If you make a loose turn or two, you might end up with the entire fly be able to twist on the hook shank, so make it tight. You could give it a drop of glue or varnish to really just make it sit tight, but I don't this time. It's not that necessary. As a tail, I'm using rabbit fur. I've taken a piece of one of our rabbit strips, one of the tiger strips. Of course, I like the 2 to 3 color banding on it. I just cut, like 1 centimeter or 1.5, and try to align the hairs a bit. Take them as a bundle and cut off the fur piece. Take a little comb here or dumping brush just to take out the loose fluff and fur here in the bottom of the sponge. You see there's some fur here, and that's just to make the tying point a little more slimmer. So here we go. Put this one on. And why use rabbit fur? Well, the reason is it's very, very lively in the water. It reacts to even the smallest twist in the lines or currents or anything. A lot stronger than marabou. So if the tails are shorter, like on this one, I like to use fur like the rabbit fur. If it's longer, I'm more fond of using either a fox fur, body fur, or the marabou, of course. But I like this one because it's 2-colored. So that was the start of it. Then we're going to add a chenille, of course, as the rear part of the body or the abdomen. Tie down, run the thread up here, and then we make sure we now make a nice even or slightly tapered body towards the front. Something like that. And then I tie it in on top because we need this to go on top in the end. And then take the other end of the chenille and tie that in right beside it. Doesn't matter if it gets a little bit bulk up here, because that will serve as the base for the thorax. So here we go. Tie down. So we have a taper up here, and we have 2 pieces of or a loop of the chenille that we're going to use as a back. For the front or the thorax, we're going to use one of Puglise's brushes, the one called Tarantula. This one is in chartreuse, and it's really a nice brush. If you take a look at it, you'll see it has a lot of small micro rubber legs incorporated, and it gives a lot of life to this fly. So we tie this one in, and make sure that the end of it, if it's too long, you can clip it off with a piece of or some nippers or pliers. Don't use your scissors, because then that will destroy them. But the end will usually be very sharp, so take care of that. Cover it with a couple of loose turns with the tying thread, so it doesn't nick your thread. All right, here we go with the thorax part. We'll try to double it a little bit to get the especially the rubber legs turned backwards, so we don't get them caught in the next turn with this material. See if we can catch as many as possible. They're pretty much their own way of doing it, so it can be a bit tricky. So here we go. One more turn, just to crank up towards the bead head. And when you get to this point, we need to divide the material off to the sides here, so see if we can expose a point where the wire is completely exposed, to catch it with the thread, and that way it won't tie down material, so it sits out in uneven fashion. So like this, and then we're going to clip it with our plier like that. There we go. Which, and then we have to take care of this end of the wire, because it's very sharp, like that. Now we just fluff this up a bit, get this, we can use our dubbing teaser to get all the rubber legs out, kicking, making their worth. Alright, and when you get here, I'm just trying to divide it to each side, just to make a space, and have the two pieces of chenille going right down the middle here, and tie them down just behind the bead head, something like that, and then clip them off. Get some of the loose fluff flying off here, like that. And then we just tie it off here. When I'm using the GSP thread, I like to whip finishes to make sure that it sits tight. And then we just, like, get it all worked out again, so everything is out. So you see, this is really a fly that will be able to make a lot of movement and kicking while retrieved in the water. And for those of you guys that are into UV responsive materials, fluorescent ones is more what we should call it, take a look at this. I'm just gonna keep the light off and hit it with the UV torch instead. So you see those row of legs, and Chartreuse brush is really shiny. It stands as a great contrast to the black. So that was my version of a different type of Montana nymph. Don't know what we should call it. Doesn't matter. It will catch a fish or two.